What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. This is going to be a very exciting video because we're eventually going to mount the 42-inch tires on the front axle, and then we can finally move on to the rear and get this thing moving. So let me show you what I've been up to. This is the driver's side, and we've got all of the welding done for the Apollo 9 shock tower kit. Frame plates are painted, everything's painted, and we've gotten our King coilover mounted. So I had to basically route this reservoir tube at about a 45-degree angle outward, obviously cut a little notch there, and then we still have to figure out where we're going to mount this. It's going to be somewhere back here, but that needed to clear this adjusting nut. So everything's in place. I'm happy with it. And then we've gone with this Rough Stuff Specialties coilover mount that welds onto the outer C and the tubing itself. So we've used a 1/2-inch bolt. You can upgrade to 5/8, but I'm just gonna go with a 1/2 inch for now. You have to get new bearing spacers, and I need to get this thing on the road. So this side is all done. We're getting ready to lift this thing up and put wheels and tires on it. So it's really exciting. There's a lot of tuning you can do with these King coilovers. I have my preload set to 0 right now. You basically adjust this collar and give yourself preload by compressing this spring, and there's little nuts here that you can slide down to activate your lower spring earlier if you like. I'm gonna have to do a little bit more research before I get into that. We'll tune that as we go. On the passenger side, we've got everything welded in. It's not painted yet, and I just wanted to show what it looks like. I've got the upper portion painted, real ugly welds, but I don't care. It's not going anywhere. I did add a couple little triangle gusset pieces in there just to make sure that this thing isn't coming off. I did fully weld the VIN code area because you guys suggested that I should weld that so water doesn't get in there and cause rust. So I'm going to paint this whole piece, and then we need to weld in the Rough Stuff Specialties coilover mounts on the axle, and then we need to figure out our panhard bar. I ended up cutting off the existing panhard mount, and I want to use this piece as it contours to the axle tubing like so, and I can weld that and clock it wherever I want, but obviously I need the holes for the panhard mount itself. So I'm in the process of making a real ugly panhard mount. I'm not sure if I'm going to tie that into there by cutting notches and having it go all the way through, or just welding it, cutting off this section and tying it in with a gusset piece on the bottom. So cross that bridge when we get there, but the point is this thing is very close to being under its own weight. On the front, anyways. On the rear, haven't really made a whole lot of progress. That's going to be in an upcoming video, other than putting it under the 80 series. So if you're looking at this axle, you'll see that it's a 14 bolt, but something's a little off. As you can see, the short side is now on the right side. The short side is usually on the left side. I've had it retubed and retubed for the stock axle length. So I'm gonna be swapping axles, and it gives me just enough offset so that my ring and pinion is lined up with the transfer case. And the reason why is because without that, it comes very close to the gas tank, which you can do, but I still haven't figured out exactly what type of setup I'm gonna do back here. It's most likely gonna be a 3-link. We'll get into that in a later video. There's not a whole lot of spots to tie in your upper links aside from the factory locations, which are very high and very short, giving this not the ideal swing when it goes up and down, causing issues with your pinion angle. I've seen a reverse semi-triangulated, which you would mount the upper links back here. I'm not sure I'm going to go that route. I'm most likely going with a 3-link, and I'm going to tie in the upper link over there. Anyways, check out these bad boys. I just love these wheels, the KMC impact bead locks, and an 8x6.5 on our old 42s. So these are all mounted and ready to go. 2 of these will be going on the front here soon. After several hours, I've finally got the wheels underneath the Land Cruiser, and it's on its own weight. Let me show you what's going on. I've been waiting for this moment for a very long time, and it is very satisfying to see these KMC impacts on the 42s underneath the Land Cruiser. So let's talk a little bit about the issues. Issue number 1, panhard and drag link angles. Going to be a little bit of bump steer. That's just going to happen. I've gone with the highest mounting point on this bracket that I made, and I'm going to have to refigure how I route that. It's also too short. I want to make it longer, so right now the goal is to just get this moving and get it under its own weight. I'm most likely going to have to put my panhard right there if I can. And what that'll do is it'll give me a little bit longer distance so that my difference between the steering link and the panhard isn't so drastic. It's not really that bad, but the angles are fine, but the length is quite a bit of difference. Other issue I'm seeing is that the drag link is almost, the panhard has a little bit of an angle. It's not quite flat, but the drag link is actually going this way. And that's because it's going on the bottom side. I've reamed out the pitman arm for the GM 1-ton tie rod. And then over here, it's on top. So that's creating a little bit of an issue. I could try and ream the bottom of that to make it bottom to bottom, but we're gonna run with that for the time being, and we'll see what type of issues that causes. But the jack stands are just there for clarity of mind, but pretty cool to see this underneath the Land Cruiser, and it just looks so beefy. Another issue, and probably the biggest issue I'm gonna be facing, is the coilovers being so close to that tower. When this axle comes up, it's going to move the axle forward because of the 3-link and the triangulation, and that's going to be contacting on that shock tower there. I mean, I've got an 1/8 of an inch maybe in places. So what I'm gonna have to do is look at my steering, looking how much room I have with my scrub radius, and move the axle back. A positive is that my drive shaft angle is really good for that dual cardan joint. It's pointed directly at the transfer case, so that's not going to cause many issues. But when I move the axle back, that means my pinion is going to be clocked more upwards. Not an issue because we can use our upper link, which is adjustable, to roll it back and get our caster back at 6 degrees. Tons of little issues. We'll fix them, but the main point is that the front axle is getting close to done. Still also need to figure out a mount for the reservoirs. I clock these at like 45 degrees going back, so I'm gonna make something, tie some sort of hose clamp mount onto the frame for those. Not too worried about those, but man, it looks so good. I'm so stoked. Top lines off the diff housing for the breather, and then the ARB air locker still need to get put in. Another issue, as I suspected, is that that elbow coming off the turbo didn't have enough room to go back in my stock intercooler location, so I'm going to be running non-intercooled for now until I fabricate some other sort of intercooler piping. Not too worried about that. Basically going to do a 180 on that there. Obviously get the winch control module out of the way, and then just go straight to the turbo. And then lose the intercooler temporary. I'll probably keep it mounted. If I do get rid of it, that means that I can mount that winch controller back on top of the winch here, because I'll have extra room right there. Starting to look pretty darn good. I don't know what you guys think, but I'm super stoked. Now we're on to the 14 bolt. Spindles have been welded in. These are the original spindles that came on it. Wasn't anything wrong with them, so we ran them. This new tubing that's in there is, I don't know if that's 3/8 or what that is, but pretty darn thick. And obviously we're long side, short side, so we can fit and have our driveline angle be good. I've cleaned up all of the inside of the housing. I've punched out the snout bearing. One of the cool things about the 14 bolt is that the pinion is in double shear compared to most things. And the reason it's in double shear is because of this snout right here, and that goes in that race that I was just showing you. So you've got a bearing on the back, a bearing on the front, or however you consider that, and this whole assembly gets bolted in there. This assembly is also going to have a truss mount come off of it to tie it into the truss. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. But what I've spent the last couple days doing, super frustrating, it takes a long time to get this perfect, but we're looking for 20 to 35 inch-pounds on our meter here, and we finally got real close. We're at about 25, something like that. And then when we had the seal, it allowed a couple inch-pounds of resistance as well, but basically it involves using a bunch of different shim packs, because I am using a crush sleeve eliminator. Didn't film this because it's just been back and forth, kind of boring. This is what would normally go in the 14 bolt, and this is a crush sleeve. So this is already crushed, for lack of a better term, to a certain extent. And then this was about 83 thousandths of an inch. So I use the crush sleeve eliminator, which is in that pinion assembly right now, with a combination of shims, tighten down the pinion nut to torque spec, and then measure that inch-pound preload. I probably had to take this apart 10 times, but it's finally to where we want it. So now we can move on to the ARB air locker and then figure out our backlash. Another cool thing about the 14 bolt, you can see in here, there are some threads inside here. And those threads are for these tightening nuts. And what they do is they thread in or out. There's a little provision here to use a screwdriver in order to tighten or loosen them. And if you loosen this side, it's going to push this side out and move the ring gear over closer to the pinion, decreasing your backlash. At the same time, you'll have to tighten this end so you have enough room between them. Then of course, put the bearing caps on, torque them down, and then you get your backlash setting. And for the pinion depth, the third thing that I really like about the 14 bolt is that the pinion depth is determined by shims on the inside of this housing. So one of the few things that I've kept, and if I ever do this again, I'm keeping everything, are these shims. And this was the OEM shim depth. So we'll reference that when we go to assemble this and run our gear pattern. We'll do that in the next video. We'll go ahead and end that video here, guys. Thank you all for watching. Thanks for all. I'm gonna go ahead and end the video there. In the next video, we'll get to the 14 bolt and the suspension, how we're going to articulate and all that good stuff. Thank you so much for watching. If you guys haven't, please like and subscribe. It helps the channel out so much. I appreciate all of you. Thank you for your time. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below, and we'll see you in the next one.